WI6CSA, rather. Yeah, I think you're drifting a little bit. I was having a little trouble following you up and down and see if anybody else was having the same problem. And the last one I picked up was WA6LJR. Stand by for a moment. Let's see if anybody else wants to be on the early list.
Just made a breakthrough in energy.
Anybody else for the early list, K2RP? Okay, let's try WA6LJR, K2RP. Go ahead.
All right, I didn't catch your call. This is WA6LJR, Pismo Beach. You guys are coming in good? I'm trying to stay on frequency here as I chase it around. We're located in Pismo Beach. The name here is Bill, Bravo, India, Lima. Thank you for the early to WA6LJR.
Okay, very good. Yeah, the name here is Ron, Kilo 2 Romeo Papa, and we're in Encinitas, just north of San Diego. Good signal here, Bill. No problem at all. Okay, let's see. How close are we here? Rocco, are you around yet?
Yeah, I am. Let's see if I can, which way? 1, 2. Well, I guess that's good enough. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I have to put something on top of the ring to keep it from blowing away.
Okay. Why don't you see who else is out there, and then we'll get going.
Are you ready for the list?
Yeah. Well, I think I've got it. IRZ. Well, I think I've got it. Because I was copying along with you. Where do you want? How about if I put you right after Bob, AK6R? How about that?
That'd be perfect.
Okay, well, let's get going. Let me ask, anybody else trying to get in here for the Vintage SSB Roundtable? Go now.
WJ6W.
WJ6W. And I'm blanking. Help me with the name. Is that Dave?
Yeah, it's Dave in Tarzana.
Okay, Dave. Well, my memory hasn't entirely failed me. Anybody else trying to get in here? This is N6KN.
Kilo Whiskey 1, November Golf, Ken and Alpine.
KW1, November Golf. And that was Ken and Alpine, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what are you running tonight, Ken?
Collins S-Line.
S-Line, excellent. Okay, any others want to get on the list? All righty. Well, let's get going here. And by the way, it's raining cats and dogs here in Palos Verdes. Up and down, but we just had a cell come through. It was really loud. It scared the cats. Okay, welcome everybody to the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable. This is Rocco, 106KN, in Rancho Palos Verdes, California. I'm the host for the evening's roundtable. Tonight, I'm using a Kenwood TS900 from the mid-70s. And something I've never run before. Let's see here. Yeah, now it's working. Something I've never run before. My Tokyo High Power HL 1.5 KFX. And it's being used in place of the old trusty 30L1 because I'm having to change out some electrolytics on the Collins. We meet every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Pacific time with an informal gathering at 6:30 to record an early check-in list. This roundtable meets on or about 3895 kilohertz, plus or minus. And we may or may not have to move down to 3892. We'll see. To check in to the roundtable, you must be using a radio that was manufactured in or before 1980, or be homebrewed with equivalent technology. Transistors, tubes, hybrid radios are all welcome as long as they were manufactured in 1980 or before. Now you're a first-time check-in, you can use any modern radio for the purpose of inquiring about joining the group and obtaining a vintage radio. And this is a terrific resource for finding and repairing vintage equipment. So we encourage vintage radio newcomers. We have a website at groups.io/chi/vintage SSB with many station photos and files. Our group also has an email reflector. If you'd like to access the website or reflector email, send an email to Mike, K6ZSR. We also host a live video simulcast via Zoom. To join the Zoom session, send an email to Dennis, W6DQ. Consider accessing the KFS Web SDR on your computer. And if you manage to do that, like I'm doing right now, you will hear many more stations when the core propagation is with us or if it's long or whatever. And just look for websdr.org in your browser and you'll find KFS without any problems. It's a terrific resource. And I have nothing to do directly with them, but they deserve all of our support. We have a discussion topic that we call the question of the evening, and you're invited to participate as part of your check-in. And I'll reveal that in a minute. If you have any suggestions for future questions of the evening, please email them to Mark at dsedona.net. At the end of each roundtable, there's a Golden Cup Award, very prestigious, and it's given to a roundtable member who's singled out because of some outstandingly interesting, funny, informative comments made during their check-in. So, before we get going, are there any announcements only of interest to vintage SSB radio topics? Go now.
W6DQ.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, just the usual announcement about the upcoming barbecue in April. The last weekend in April will be the 27th, Saturday, here at Faraday Fields in Inyokern. So just want to remind people, do send in an RSVP if you're interested in coming and joining us. I'd like to know who's coming. And we've only got a couple so far, so got to step up a little bit and get some more folks out here. So thank you, Rocco. Back over to you, W6DQ.
Okay. And I've got LGL skip down at the bottom. So anybody else trying to get on the list, go now. Alrighty then. So here we go. Let's see how the skip holds up. This is a topic that keeps coming up, and satisfactory answers are surprisingly hard to come by. So here it is. Have you guys ever used an external, meaning not in the radio, automatic antenna tuner that would handle balance lines and or coax? And if you have one in mind that would work for outdoor use, including lots and lots of rain, I'd like to hear about that. And the other way to look at it is if you say, well, I want to put the tuner in the shack, how in the heck do you get a balanced feed line through the wall at any of your shacks? So we'll see what people come up with that question. Okay, so the first four will be AK6IRZ. Jeff, would you hand it to JNY6L? Jay, hand it to AK6R. Bob? And Bob, if you would hand it to Ron, K2RP. AK6IRZ, go ahead, Jeff.
Know what this radio sounds like.
He was talking with his wife. Jeff, are you back? All right, NY6L, go ahead, Jay.
Okay, Rocco, good evening. NY6LJ here in the high desert, where it's still raining up here. All right. Well, let's see here. Auto antenna tuner. I am using a Bellstar HF auto tuner, which looks fantastic. I have not had any experience of running ladder line of any kind as of any installations that I have had in the past or I might do in the future. But my antenna is wet, and it is fed by coax and tuned up very, very nicely. So there you go. I'll just keep it kind of short and sweet. And I have used random long wire for QRP work. That's little auto tuner as well as a manual tuner. But that's as far as it went. So I'll leave it at that. And the rig tonight I'm running is a Alda 103 at approximately about 70 to 75 watts on peak. So anyway, over to you there, Bob, AK6R, NY6L Hesperia.
Yeah, NY6L on the group, AK6R, very good. Jay, nice signal tonight. Your radio sounded good for 100 watts. Well, I'm choking up, I don't know why tonight, but anyway, this is Bob, we're in Fallbrook, and tonight we're running the Astro 103, the Cubic Astro 103. Surprisingly stable radio, very, very, very stable. And this was from the former estate of N6ZI, who passed away last year. And I was doing his estate, and I decided to keep this radio. It's about a 1980, I think. It just makes the requirement, but absolutely gorgeous radio. So that's that. And we're going into of course, a Palomar Engineers in-fed, off-center fed antenna. 95 feet of wire and about 40 feet of coax with a choke on it. And all of that is being fed by into an ACOM 1000. We're running about 400 watts right now. So that's the setup here. And let's see, the question of the evening, great question, and thanks, Ron, for taking the release. Well, as you know, we are a manufacturer of ladder line antennas, and I've always been asked that question: is how do I get the ladder line into the house, or which ladder line antenna tuner? So I worked a lot with the flagpole antenna people, and they run off-center fed antennas inside their flagpoles, and they come out to about 6 feet of ladder line, and it feeds a remote antenna tuner. And that's typically it's either an MFJ 700 watter or the smaller one that they have, which is also field compatible up to about 200 watts, I believe. And they all go through a one-to-one balance, which you make. It goes into, that's how you interface into the antenna tuner. Now, I do the same thing here. We make ZS60 KW antennas, which basically are 88 feet or 82 feet of wire fed by exactly 40 feet of ladder line. And if you feed the ladder line, it's exactly one-to-one SWR in 3 different bands. And that goes into a one-to-one balance and about 8 feet of coax into my tuner here, which is a Drake tuner. And it works absolutely wonderful on just about all the bands. I don't have to tune it all. And on a couple bands, I have to tune it. So, and remember also, the ladder line acts as a transformer in its own right. So, most ladder line that's over 50 or 60 feet long, anyways, between 50 and about 125 feet, ends up with an impedance close to about 50 to 100 ohms on a particular band. Just avoid quarter wavelengths on any band. And you should be able to use a one-to-one into balanced one-to-one going into coax into your shack. So that's how we
anyway, over to Dennis, W6DQ. It's Faraday Field on Boston Day, Dennis, and hopefully we'll be there from AK6R.
Yeah, it goes to Ron first.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, good evening, everybody, and thanks for showing up on a rainy night. My thoughts are not as technical, but I can give you some experience. I'm coming up onto about 65 years as a ham. I was licensed at 59, and probably for more than 30 of those years, I ran open wire line, which was most of the time just a 300 ohm TV cable. That was easier to get through the wall because you could just drill maybe a 3/8 of an inch hole down by the baseboard and put a little caulking around it. And if you wanted to use real open wire line that was 5 inches apart, you could attach that on the outside of the house. The other question that I'm not too sure about, but it seems to me that one of the advantages of the open wire line is that at high SWRs, there's virtually no or very little attenuation, no loss in the open wire line. So I'm questioning what the real value of putting the tuner outside would be. With coax, you have all kinds of losses and high SWRs, but with the lateral line, we never had it. Wherever I was living, I would just put up the longest dipole I could find and get it up as high as I could, and use it with, I had homebrew Lumacoy type transmatches. Eventually went to Johnson matchboxes. They all tuned very easily with no problem. And I sort of wonder why you would want to put a open wire antenna tuner outside because of all the difficulties with it. I'm not sure you gain anything, but I could be wrong about that. That's just my memory from many years ago, and I don't barely remember what I had for breakfast. So that's my answer anyway. Okay, then I think it goes back to you then, Rocco. N6KN, K2RP.
Yeah, okay. Ron, let's see if I can, 1, 2. We'll kind of tweaking the VFO dial here. All right, next 4. Great answers. Everybody. Interesting stuff. I can see there's opinions on this. W6DQ, Dennis, take it, give it to Lisa, KF6QNG. Lisa, please give it to Glenn, WB6RLC. And Glenn, if you would give it to Gary, WA7BIP. Go ahead, Dennis.
All right, Rocco, thank you. N6KN and the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable W6DQ here, Dennis and Inyo Kern, where it's around 46 degrees and not raining, which is nice for a change. We haven't had a great deal. We've had less than 2 inches here in this latest storm, so it's gone on for the last 3 days, but we got more coming, I'm sure. Tonight, running the KWM 380 with the Alpha 87A amplifier, and that's going through a Talstar HF Auto Tuner, which is remote from the desk here. It's over on the other side of the room, and it goes to a ballon and then out through 2 penetrations in the wall for the balanced line out to a horizontal loop, which is 540 feet of wire at 50 feet. Now, I do feed it with a ballon because that Talstar tuner is not a balanced output. It's a coaxial output, but I like the fact that it does have a built-in switch, so you can switch between 3 antennas, and I make use of that. So I've got coax running all over the place because the tuner is nowhere near where I am right now. It's over on the other side of the room. But what's cool about that tuner, even though it's indoors, of course, it's not an outdoor tuner, you could do that by putting it in like an IP65 type enclosure and put it outside. But it has a remote control head, which I have, and and that talks to it over a serial interface. But better still, you can run an application on your computer, on PC, Windows PC, and control the tuner from the PC through a USB interface to, it's a USB to serial adapter is what you need, but it's basically a USB interface on the computer. And so having multiple computers, I can run that tuner from anywhere in the shack over the system here remotely, which is really awesome. I really like as Jay was saying, I really love this tuner. I've been using it for a while now, and I was introduced to it by Mike, K6ZSR. He had picked one up and was showing it to me, and I said, this is really a nice piece of gear. So I went out and picked one up. It's rated at 1,800 watts, which I can't say for any of the other auto tuners on the market, especially the MFJs. They don't have anything that'll go to a legal limit. The only thing that comes close to it, and if you're looking for an outdoor tuner, the ACOM 04AT, 04AT ACOM tuner is a remote tuner that's weatherproof, and it'll handle legal limit. Within limits, you can't run too high on SWR. I think the legal limit, it can run up to like 3 to 1 SWR, and that's one of the other tuners I was looking at when I got the Palstar. But I really like the Palstar. If I wanted to remote that outdoors, I would have to put it in an IP65 or a similar enclosure to weatherproof it. But it's fine here, just fed with ladder line through the wall. And by the way, I was going to mention, look at an old Radio Amateur's Handbook. Go back, let's go back like 40 years. And there's a whole section in there on doing ladder line, balanced feed penetrations through walls. And all I did, like I said, is I've drilled 2 holes through the wall, and at the proper spacing, as the same spacing as the ladder line, and just ran it through a couple of plastic tubes to insulate it from the wall, and that works just great. So there you have it. And rain doesn't affect it because it's open wire feeder, unlike window line that's affected by weather. So I don't recommend window line. But open wire feeder, like Bob was talking about, and Ron was talking about, is great stuff. That's the way to go. So anyway, that's it. Rocco, thanks for hosting this evening. Ron, thanks for taking the earlies. And by the way, Rocco, neat on that Tokyo high power amp. That's a nice piece of gear, and you really sound good down here. So, or Lisa, KF6QNG and the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you, Rocco, for hosting the fun roundtable this evening. So, I don't have an answer to the question, so I just wish everyone a good and safe, and try to stay dry out there. It's been cold and rainy just about everywhere around here. So with that, I'm going to send it over to Glenn. WB6RLC from KF6QNG.
All right, KF6QNG, WB6RLC. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Rocco, for doing the net. Well, I don't have a whole lot to add to this, because I don't think I've run ladder line since I was a novice or something. And Marconi showed me how to set that up. So, it's been a while. So I've got nothing to add, so I'll shut up. Other than, the same weather, everything everybody else has had. So, I'll just shut up and pass it on. Goes over to Gary. I think I messed up the call before. So, WA7VIP, WB6RLC in the group.
Okay, Mark, looking you over. Signal's pretty good there out of Cathedral City. So, getting out pretty good even though the weather's bad. This is WA7VIP, Gary and Duarte, and it's about 46 degrees out, and raining. And when Rocco said a cell came over, I braced myself because I was next, and it's hit to here now. So, still raining, still getting lots of water. Every time I go outside, I dump 4 inches of water out of an open bucket, so I don't know how many times I've done that, but my neighbor's rain gauge crashed, so he's the one that gave me the official numbers, and I don't have them now. Anyway, we're running a Kenwood TS130S radio I bought in 1980 of May, and it works flawless. I can't say anything negative about it. My other radios, hybrid and solid state, have Drake line running next, I guess. That's on my project list. As far as antenna tuners, I tend not to use auto tuners. I do manual tuners. That said, if I was to buy an auto tuner, it would be one built by a good friend of mine, K7 EMS, electromagnetic force is his call. And he and I were buddies back in our college days, and he's come up with a tuner that's a balanced line tuner. You can remote it, Rocco. It'll handle kilowatts or more, maybe 4 kilowatts, it's rated. Because the model numbers are that ATU4K, and I think his website is trueladderline.com. And I missed what Bob, AK6R, said about tuners, and it may be very similar to what I'm saying. You took a fade there, Bob, so I didn't quite hear it all. But that tuner is done right, comes in to 50 ohm, and immediately goes to the balance, which is in a low loss section of the tuner.
Yeah, that's better.
And the balance puts it into a differential, and there it goes through the tuner, which has a double set of variable inductors, roller inductors that are geared together and controlled by stepper motors, as well as capacitors, and it knows where it's at, and for all the different frequencies, it has them information for the different bands. And it's a very pricey item. If I had the money, I'd get one because, like I said, it's done right. And it does get you a 50 ohm differential with the balance up right at the 50 ohm point, and then goes into the tuner section, which then transforms without balance to 600 ohm line or whatever you want to use. So that's my story. And like I said, if I can get my hands on one of those, I will. So Rocco, I guess it goes back to you. Thanks for taking the net. And Ron, K2RP, thank you for taking the earlies. WA7BIP, back to you, Rocco.
Okay, Gary. And, well, I'm learning some new stuff here. Thank you, all of you. All right, the next four will be Vaughn, K6ZTA. Vaughn, please give it to Bob. WA9JIB. Bob, please give it to Tom, W6TOM. And then it goes to Art, KB7LO2. K6ZTA, take her away, Vaughn.
Okay, very good, Rocco, thank you. N6KN, K6ZTA. We're here in Woodland Hills, and we're on the 100B and driving the SB220 to about probably about 800 watts. And the receiver is in Drake 2B, and the antenna is an inverted V at 55 feet. So, well, we've not used any ladder line. The closest thing to the balanced line that I've used was the 300 ohm twin lead when I had a phototype pole, which worked very well. But and it just took Good Pi Network to match it, and I didn't have a tuner in the line at the time, so it really didn't matter when I was a novice. Okay, so with that, I don't have anything else to add, and the rain is still coming down, and we'll talk to all you guys later. Thank you. WA9JIB, K6ZTA.
K6ZTA in the group,
WA9JIB. Bob over here in La Cañada. It might be raining, I don't know. I don't hear any rain. We really just have not gotten anywhere near what I thought we were going to do. Everybody else seems to be doing it. Usually we get 4 down here in the foothills, but let's
the band is very quiet. Beautiful. Signal's good. I'm running my helicopter station, Rocco, which you know well. I do so with a Kenwood MC50 mic, HD32B, SX115 receiver. I do go through a MFJ 949C tuner that I got from K2RP, actually. R48 speaker, inverted V dipole, hanging off a 35-foot mast. I'm not sure I totally understood the question. I do use tuners. They're not in the radios. They're generally external to the radio, but they're right next to the radio or on top of the radio. They're not outside. I do have one automatic tuner, which is Timbo, you know, that I got from Dennis, W6CQ, a couple of springs ago, which I have not used very much. I got that radio just to get on the work band. But yeah, it does have an auto tuner in a separate box. And so I have used that a few times. Basically got that radio, as I say, on the work band. So I do not have tuners outside. I have never used ladder line. I have nothing against it. I just, when I started, my dad said, here's how you feed an antenna, and he rolled out some coax. So I've just always used coax, and where my operating positions are in the house, it would be kind of difficult to get ladder line outside. I have to run it through the house for a bit, and then figure out a way to punch it through the wall, without getting a lot of consequences. So I just have never used ladder line. Maybe I will someday, but not in my experience base. So that's about all I've got and can contribute tonight. Everybody stay dry. And Tom, I hope you are there this time. You were not last time. So W6TOM, WA9JIB. If no Tom, then over to Art in KB7.
WA9JIB, W6TOM here. Good evening, everybody. I am on a Kenwood TS120S, and this is a very pertinent question tonight for me. I'm running a window line fed 130-foot dipole. I would like to find an automatic antenna tuner, although one of my criteria would be that I would be able to store frequency presets, and that the antenna tuner would go and sense the frequency that I was using and tune quickly to that. I don't think anybody makes anything that's like that. I did do some research at one point, found an antenna tuner in Germany, but it had no support here in the U.S., and it was quite expensive. After I looked at the question today, I did do another internet search, and I think it was the ATU 4K that was previously mentioned I came across. Although from what I could read about it, it doesn't have the ability to store presets. I'm using a Pelstar balanced line antenna tuner. It's a balanced L tuner, and I use 450 ohm window line. I'm very happy with this antenna. It gives me 80 through 12 meters coverage. I use a tune chart. I went in with an antenna analyzer and went every 20 kilohertz on the bands and found the presets. And I find them to be pretty accurate. When I set this one up tonight for this frequency here, which I have in a separate tune chart because I use this frequency frequently, I just went and dialed it in, and I put some power to it to check it, found out I didn't have to make any changes. So that would be a nice thing to have. As far as getting the window line into my house, my 1945 home had, when it was built, a quarter-inch, maybe eighth-inch gap along the eaves for ventilation. I just slipped in through that, no problem. I've used various other antenna tuners when I've been out in the field. Like, for instance, I used a 17-foot whip in the center of my pickup truck bed in a SGC 235 antenna tuner. I think it's actually an SGC 230 or the AC tuner that's appropriate for the mobile HF radio that I have. And I use that when I'm playing around out in the woods. I've used a couple of other QRP automatic tuners, but nothing for balanced line. So anyway, that's the story here. Let me hand it to KB7LOQ. Take it, W6TOM.
W6TOM, this is KB7LOQ. Art in St. George. north Utah where it's cold and we're still waiting for that atmospheric river from California. But the mountains are supposed to get 30 inches of snow tonight and tomorrow, and we're going to get some rain. Great to be on tonight. Sorry I missed last week. I was in the hospital with pericarditis, which is an inflammation of the lining of the heart, and they got me on some medication, so feeling better. On the Helicopters HT-37 tonight into the SB 220 and listening on SX-115. And my tuner is a Palstar ADK5. No real ladder line experience, but a memory when I was a little kid. One of my dad's sisters had muscular dystrophy, and my dad got her to be a ham. And I remember at the farmhouse, there was this wide ladder line coming from a hayfield where her antenna was to the farmhouse, and there were these big, I believe they were Johnson standoffs on the outside and the inside of the house. They looked huge to a little kid, and there was also a wide knife switch which grounded the antenna in case of a thunderstorm or whatever. And in a picture, my aunt had a Johnson Viking 1 and a Helicopters SB-40A that my dad had purchased after the war. So no ladder line here, but great memories. Conditions are fair up here. QR Nancy, a lot of noise from the storm and a little bit of QRM from the Grits and Possum group down south there. But with that, back to you, Rocco, K6KN, KB7LOQ.
Okay, Art.
W6YEC checking in.
Okay, I was going to ask, but you beat me to it. George, W6YEC. Anybody else trying to get on the list at the tail end for the Vintage SSB Roundtable? Go now. WA6.
I do, so I guess that's...
There was a WA6. Try it again.
Whiskey Alpha 6 Juliet Uniform Sierra.
Okay, JUS. Got you, and that's John, is it not?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Anybody else? Okay, got a big turnout tonight, and maybe the weather had something to do with that, huh? All right, the next four will be KI6CSA Chris. Chris, if you would give it to WA6LJR Bill. And then Bill, if you'd give it to Dave, WJ6W. And Dave, please give it to KW1NG. That's Ken. KI6CSA, take it away, Chris. Anybody hearing Chris? He's transmitting.
Foot switch, I got a trigger key. I just pushed the button and I started talking. That's all this shit. Sure, for a spend more money. You got any other bike? That's that big one, right?
Bill, it's your turn.
couldn't copy him. This is WA6L, JR running the Heathkit 221 and a Kenwood transceiver here in Pismo Beach, and everybody is coming in good. The last gentleman I could barely hear. I do not have my SDR on. So over to Dave, WJ6W, WA6LJR.
Oh, WA6LJR, WJ6W. Okay, well, thank you. I did copy that previous station, but he was very weak here in Tarzana, so I'm not surprised some didn't copy him. Anyway, Dave, Tarzana, California, running Atlas 210X and a Collins 30L1 through coax up to a inverted V up in the tree. And let's see, the microphone number you're using on the Atlas is a D104. So, anyway, regarding the questions, very good one, but I have no experience other than coax myself. Always use coax fed antennas, so don't really have a whole lot to offer. I think there was some discussion about the weather in Vaughn over there in Woodland Hills. We got over 10 inches now here in Tarzana, and I think the official amount in Woodland Hills is about the same, or maybe more. So, yeah, we got deluged here, but and we also had a 11-hour power outage during all that on Sunday to Monday. Yeah, that was it. Then we got through that with a small generator and kept things going. So that's the story here. I'm going to send it over to Ken, KW1NG. This is WJ6W.
Okay, thank you, Dave. This is Ken in Alpine. We're running the 75S3C, 32S3, and 30L1 tonight into a MSJ 998 auto tuner. And it's supposedly rated at 1,500 watts. I never run it there because the 30L1 can only do about 600-700 watts, something like that. But it works really well. It works in conjunction with my ICOM 7610. When you just push the tuner button on the front panel, or with the 32S3, I feed 12 volts into the auxiliary power socket on it, and all I do is bring the power up a little bit on the 32S3 with my gain knob in the tune position, bring it up to about 10 watts, and pop it tunes. So, and it's got memories in it, so it remembers the settings for any particular frequency. And they have an outdoor version of it, the 998R or something like that. I don't, but like I say, I don't know if it's a full legal limit. It says 1,500, but take that with a grain of salt. I don't have that experience. I have used ladder line with it. I followed the advice of basically what AK6R said, Bob, but it's from a website from a guy in Germany, DJ0IP. He's got an extensive website on tuners and balance and all that sort of thing, and he recommends the same system where you run coax out to a 1-to-1 balance and then go to your ladder line or balance line up to the antenna. And he said it's a far better system because the tuner can handle the impedance transformation, where balance don't do that very well unless you have a very carefully designed one. So you just wrap some coax through a few toroids, certain varieties, I guess. I use type 61, I think, and I stack about 3 of them and wrap the coax in around that donut about 10 times. And then the end of that coax goes to the balance line. Or you can buy a 1-to-1. There's 1-to-1s that are designed for that exact purpose, from converting from coax over to a balance line. So that's what I do, and I guess there's some science behind it. Lots of people have talked about that tonight. So that's about it for me. Everybody stay dry, stay warm. I've got a sister up in St. George there, so Art, I just texted her. She said, what kind of weather is she looking at? So we'll find out. All right, everybody have a great evening. It goes back to Rocco, N6KN, KW1NG.
can. Solid copy. You guys have great signals tonight. Okay, next will be Skip, K6LGL, followed by George, W6YEC. And George, if you would give it to John, WA6JUS. Okay? K6LGL. Go ahead, Skip.
Okay, Rocco, thank you. N6KM on the Village Southbound Roundtable. Good evening from West Santa Monica, K6 Little Green Light. Skip. I'm on my 902DM and my 72 band amplifier. Pushing about 400 watts or so. Not too much. I don't really see the value of an external outside tuner for balance lines or open wire lines. Ladder line may be something else. I prefer to use rod. I can't really set up the kind of antennas that would really justify a full open wire line, you know, where you would use a rhombic or perhaps a V-beam variation or full wave radio. That would make sense. Ladder line, for most cases, but high power ladder line, you know, with at least number 14 wire. That can handle the power, and I prefer what Bob and others have done. And then you go roll-off coax, and all this stuff on coax. They've done it for high power applications, and then go into one-to-one, and then you could see the open wire line combinations. The way it was set up, if you remember W6AM, on Alice Roadies, remember the old boy had? He had high tension. Number 4 wires. On inside, as far as I know. But the antenna did not vary in impedance even when it got wet. But then remember, you know, demonstrating the old classic antenna. That was a good way of doing it. So after that, over to you there, George. You can build an outside balance line tuner, but then you're going to have to come up with a control unit to run it, and especially if you're going to use a combination of relays, a little fixed capacitor, a fixed capacitor, you're going to introduce a little losses. Otherwise, you could go maybe to vacuum variables and a large inductor, but then the controlling mechanism and input becomes prohibitively expensive. So it's not practical, not in my application. Over to you, George. W6YEC. And the interesting net, K6LGL.
Okay, Skip, thank you. And Rocco, thanks for running the net tonight. I got in here a little late, but it's been interesting listening to the discussion. By the way, just for information, those that have been tracking Phil, he's getting out of the convalescent home tomorrow around 11 is what he told me. And so he's doing really good. He's hoping to be on the air tomorrow sometime. So those that have been tracking Phil and his problems, I thought you'd rejoice in that good news. And then real quickly, Rocco, if I could, let me just say something to Bob, JIB. Hey, Bob, I went and looked at that movie last night. By the way, that's an SX43 that's sitting there. That's similar to the 42, but it's a smaller radio, not as heavy, and it doesn't have the gear mechanism like the 42. But that's what the gal was playing with there. And next to it was an HQ120, just for your information. I think you were wondering which one it was, a 43 or 42. Anyway, just thought I'd shoot that out at you. Well, I'm running remote here tonight, guys. because of the raindrops, trying to stay out of them. And so we're up here in the house, running remote down to the shack. So you'll give me grace for that this evening. I've been using homemade ladder line for 42 years or so. Started off with an off-center fed antenna. It operated 160 through 10 for me, and now a full wave loop, which I've had for many years. And I feed that with number 12 wire, insulated, and it comes and it's spread about 4 inches with PVC spreaders, and it comes down on the corner of my shack there and tied to a stake off the ground, and the wire then goes over to another stake and then up to the wall. And it's I forget what they call the material that we use on the outside there for the wall, for the it's a concrete kind of material. I can't remember the name of it right now, but the feed line just runs straight to the wall to the tuner. And right now I'm using an MFJ 986. I used the Johnson Matchbox for years, and boy, this antenna has really been a beautiful antenna. And so I have 2 tuners, one that gives me 80 through 10, and then a knife switch that causes the feed line to be shorted. That goes to a Heathkit 2060 manual tuner, and so we tune the antenna that way for 160, and it just does an absolutely beautiful job. Anyway, that's what we've used for years, and we like the homemade ladder line. Anyway, enough said there. I don't think I have anything to really more than that to add to the discussion, just simply what we're doing and how that's worked very well for us. And so we're running that tonight with the, like I said, the remote system. We did hook up our 30L1, so we're using a 30L1 tonight. We're able to turn that on automatically with a power switch I have down there in the shack through the computer. Anyway, that's it. From here, let me give it to my friend John and see how he's doing, what he's got to say about antennas. WA6JUS, take it away, John, W6YEC.
Thanks, George. This is W6YEC, WA6JUS. I learned about ballast line, the ARRL handbook in the late 40s. John Nix wrote it, and it really spelled out how to make multiband antennas. And
You've been up there board on 27.
I fired a kilowatt Johnson Matchbox and ladder line, which is about 4 inches spread with a PVC spreader, and it's about 90 foot long. Used to go up to the apex of the house above, but with that gone, it stays about 8 foot off the ground. And then one side of it, the hot side that I just called, goes to the end of the inverted V that's in fed. And that is described in the same book, the handbook. And voila, it tunes beautifully. It goes down to no SWR, and for being looking rather funky and primitive, it works quite well. Just speak to you guys, and
No matter what happens,
I'll be able to make more better with the MA40 when that pole goes up. Okay, Rocco, back to you, WA6JUS here.
Okay. Well, let me try to get back on frequency.
Radio's got a weird
1, 2.
1, 2. To the 4.
All right. Hold on here. There. I don't know what's going on. I've got a bad relay in this amplifier, maybe. Or maybe in the transceiver. I don't want to get in there. All right. Terrific answers. I learned a lot. And trying to award the Golden Cup tonight is tough. But I'm going to give it to Ken, KW1NG, because Ken, at your recommendation, I looked up the DJ0 IP website, and you're right, that guy has a ton of information on this stuff, and I've never heard of it. So, thank you for that, Ken, and thank you, everybody, for all that terrific information, really helpful stuff. Ken, KW1NG, you still there? I think we lost him. Go ahead, comment. Delta Juliet 0 India Papa DJ0 IP, and I just Googled that and came right up, and he's got a ton of stuff on there. Over.
He's on Facebook all the time. That's Rick over in Germany.
Yeah, he's put a lot of time and effort into that, and there's some good stuff that I've never read. So, okay, fellas, and you too, Lisa. Thank you, everybody. That was fun tonight. We had a big turnout. Everybody stay dry. Adios from N6KN. Shut her down.
Hey, Rocco, I got a comment, W6DQ.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there were a couple of things that were said that I want to add some data to that wasn't covered. I think Tom was mentioning, Jay and I are both using these Palstar HF auto tuners, and Jay was commenting about storing frequencies. These things absolutely store the frequency and the antenna that you're using. So as you change frequency, it'll switch to whatever antenna is assigned to that frequency, and it's all automatic. And I can't remember, there's quite a few memories in the tuner, and so it is a great tuner. I mean, it's the only one that I found, other than the one that Gary was talking about, which is pretty cool. That ATU 4K looks really neat, but it's the only one that I found that could really handle in excess of legal limit. And the ones that are rated at legal limit, like the MFJs, I would not trust that to handle legal limit at all. And those are switched relay tuners. This is actually using variable inductor and variable capacitors. So that's the way that I would do it. But anyway, I wanted to add that in there. And Skip made a comment about W6AM up there by where you lived, or where you live now, where he used to be. Having gone and operated his station a number of times, his rhombics were made of number 8 copper wells, and they were tuned with Johnson kilowatt matchboxes, and I've got one of them that he had up there. So that's how he tuned his rhombics, was with the matchbox. And having operated his station, I was first-hand knowledge there. So there you go. So anyway, Rocco, great question and a lot of great answers tonight. This was really a lot of fun. So 7-3 and back over to you, N6K and W6DQ.
Comment. Comment.
Yeah, this is W6KOM. I stumbled across that website for the fellow in Germany a number of years ago. He has the pictures on there of a Harvey Wells Z-Match tuner that are attributed to me. I stumbled across one of those that was in almost pristine condition and sent him a bunch of photos. I've run this type of antenna that I have here at various other locations, including my sister's homes in Massachusetts, with good luck. But the one thing that I have found, I've compared the Z-Match, the Johnson matchboxes, low and high power, and none of them have the tuning range that this Telstar balanced antenna tuner has, at least on this antenna anyway, W6KOM.
Thank you, Tom.
Still there, K2RP.
Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, you seem to have the
on the what?
My odds to be the host next week.
LP 100.
Let me look.
Sold it. Sold my 7,300. Big.
Okay, Ron, thanks for taking the earlies. See y'all later. 10-6-10 is toast.